He gets knocked out of the game by Bostic, and the talk has been, why didn't anyone rally to his defense? They didn't go after Bostic. They didn't go after any Washington football team players. What is going on? Aren't they playing for each other?
Well, Mike McCarthy made an issue of that after the game and made the very same statement that you just did, is that, hey, we're supposed to be a brotherhood and we're supposed to play for each other and protect each other, and the reaction that I saw wasn't what I expected. And so that unleashed a lot of public criticism directed at the players in this locker room and their passion for the game and their togetherness as a group. Now, subsequently, it's been interesting because I saw Troy Aikman, who I have great respect for, obviously won 3 Super Bowls, Hall of Fame quarterback, tough as the guy as there was, had a great relationship with his offensive lineman, and he was making the point that, they got a lot of backups offensive linemen out there on the field in that game. And so Zach Martin wasn't there, and Tyron Smith wasn't there, and La'el Collins wasn't there. And so maybe that explains why there was no reaction, no retaliation of any kind. I tend to side more with McCarthy on this, and most of the other people that I've heard speak to this. LaDainian Tomlinson called it horrific that the Cowboys didn't respond. It certainly looks like it's symptomatic of a team that just doesn't give the kind of effort in any regard that you're looking for from a really good team, which, by the way, they're not.
You're right about that. We'll get to the football side in a moment. But, Jahri, you had a guy, Drew Brees. You protected him for a long, long time, a decade of keeping that guy healthy. If you saw your quarterback sliding, getting ear-holed, helmet knocked out, walking off the field with help from 2 guys because he's in concussion protocol right now, what would you have done?
It wouldn't have been pretty, I tell you that much. I mean, Carl Nix,
you.
Goody, and our tackles, we would have, and quite frankly, some of our wide receivers, honestly, you know what I'm saying, running back, and like you said, like you just pointed out, those guys on the field right now, they're just young guys. They were probably in awe and shock, you know what I'm saying? But still, as an offensive lineman, any quarterback that's behind you, first string, second string, it wouldn't have happened to one of my college QBs.
or Frankford High, right?
Or high school
for that
QBs,
matter.
exactly. So, yeah.
Hey, Ed, I can certainly understand where Troy is coming from. There's young guys, but, there's a culture that a team develops. And, in Philly, it's the underdog mentality, whatever it may be, but I've just always been the kind of guy to believe, you develop that culture, that harmony amongst your team through practice, through meetings. Even if you're a backup player, that's the quarterback. And you see him take that vicious, cheap shot. Obviously, Bostic got thrown out of the game, and you don't defend him. I think that has some trickle-down effect. Now, it could be good for the Cowboys, and it could be bad for the Cowboys. We're going to find it out Sunday night at 8:20. What has been, Ed, we could probably spend this whole show talking about this dreadful NFC East right now. I mean, I came in this league in 1973 as a player. Don't start laughing, Jahri. I've never seen a division, let alone the NFC East, this bad. What is the feeling down in Dallas? Can they recover? Can they come back? Or is it like, hey, let's build for the future?
Well, I think it's interesting that, until this week, there really had not been much of a proactive response by either the front office or the coaching staff, but I think we've seen a change in that this week. For example, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones both came out on their respective radio shows. Yes, everybody in the front office has at least one radio show per week if you're named Jones. But I think everybody but Charlotte Jones has come out this week and made the point that, hey, we support Mike McCarthy. He's going to be our head coach. There's no doubt about that. We've hired the right guy. He's won a Super Bowl. He's going to be here for a long time. And my sense of that was this was the front office sending a message to the locker room that you better know that you're going to be accountable to the current coaching staff, to Mike McCarthy, because they're going to be responsible for deciding your playing time now and your fate after this season ends. And then I think a reinforcing message came with the removal just in the last 48 hours of 3 recent defensive starters. Everson Griffin traded to Detroit, John Tari Poe and Daryl Worley both released today. So 1 traded, 2 cut. That sends another message to the locker room. How they respond, I don't think we can guess. I mean, we've thought for a long time that they've played their worst game, and every week they seem to perform even worse than we expected or we'd seen to that point. So it remains to be seen how they react. But I think this is the first time that the front office and the coaching staff have taken a stand about the way the team is played and the deteriorating level of performance on a weekly basis.
And they should start making cuts after week one. This defensive line in Dallas was awful. They are the worst at rushing the quarterback. The average quarterback per pass has over 3 seconds in the pocket. Dead last in the National Football League as far as getting pressure on the quarterback. You could see that in week one, that this pass rush was non-existent. You're signing guys like Aldon Smith, who hasn't played football in 2 years. You're cutting guys in the middle of the season. Who is running?
Jaws, they didn't just sign Aldon Smith. They went out of their way to say, this is our best guy. Like, he's playing better than anybody on our defense. A guy who's been suspended 10 times and hasn't played in 5 years, that's the best player on our defense.
And they had Gerald McCoy, too. They had Gerald McCoy.
Yeah, I know you were.
He got hurt early, but he was on the team.
Very silly of you.
Yeah.
They had some guys. I mean, on paper, these guys look amazing, but they allowed 243 points. And, I mean, Dak was having a superstar season, leading the league with 1,600 yards in the first 4 games of the season. So, and I played under Mike McCarthy. I just feel
tell us about Mike. How's he responding to this?
He's a player's coach. I don't understand how. I don't even know. I'm not even going to say it's the players. I think it was maybe 1 or 2, maybe it was some young guys that kind of said that about Mike McCarthy, not knowing what type of guy what type of coach this guy is, but he's a player's coach. He's a great coach. Under my 16 games with him in Green Bay, but letting all those points get put up against you on defense, that's not Mike McCarthy's fault for that.
Jaws, I think they came into the season, obviously this is a team that under Jason Garrett had really been built around the offensive line, around Ezekiel Elliott, with a 4th overall pick in the 2016 draft. And they wanted to be physical, and they wanted to impose their will on you. And McCarthy has never really played that way. McCarthy's best player has always been his quarterback, whether it was Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. And so he shifted the focus more to the passing game. They used their first-round draft pick on CeeDee Lamb, even though they already had 2 really good players at wide receiver, Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. And, Dak Prescott was throwing the football 50 times a game on average. Like, through the first 6 games, he averaged 50 passes a game. And I think they just thought, hey, we're going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to put up a lot of points. We're going to get ahead of people. And then we're going to, have Aldon Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence and Everson Griffin. These guys are going to rush the passer and close it out. We just have to be average on defense because we're going to be great on offense. But they've been horrific on defense, and they've turned the ball over on offense unlike any other team in football, even when they had Dak Prescott.
I always look at teams, how they build and how they manage from the front office. And, you got to have a plan of how you're going to build your football team. We know here in Philadelphia, with Howie, it started with the offensive line and defensive line. 2 years ago, the Dallas Cowboys had arguably the best offensive line in football. Everyone talked about how great they were. Zeke was running for big yards. Dak's throwing for big yardage. They can't block anybody up front right now. I mean, Zeke gets a handoff, whack, he's down.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's 4/5 of the offensive line isn't out there anymore. Now, Zach Martin's coming back from a concussion this week, and Connor Williams is a holdover starter at left guard. But really, when they took the field last week, he was the only guy they had left from last year's starting offensive line, and he was the weak link on that offensive line. I mean, La'el Collins has missed the entire season. Tyron Smith played 2 games or 3 games. Travis Frederick retired, the center, in the offseason, which was not expected. And then they lost the veteran center, his backup, Joe Looney, in the first game of the season. So, the offensive line's been a bad situation. But it really seemed to me, that once they lost Dak Prescott for the season, they lost the guy who was their leader in the locker room, the guy who held everybody accountable, the guy that they believed could overcome any weakness or deficit on the scoreboard and give them a chance to win. And once he was gone, I think the players generally just gave up, realizing that their goals couldn't be achieved anymore.
See, I mean, to me, that's a cop-out for a football team, because here in Philadelphia in 2017, we lived that when Carson Wentz went down. Whoa, there's no woe is me, we can't win. Nick Foles comes in, a veteran like Andy Dalton is. What do? they win the Super Bowl. So the woe is me just doesn't work. And
I'm not excusing it. I'm just
oh no, I hear you. I love your insight, but this is what you have to avoid happening in your locker room.
Yeah,
because guys get hurt.
Well, look what Carson Wentz won with last year on offense, and beat the Cowboys and won the division in a situation where he's had no receivers who caught 500 yards worth of balls last year.
No, if you didn't have a flip card, you didn't know who these guys were when they were coming on the field. Who was Greg Ward and all these free agents that were signed off the practice squad, and all of a sudden they win 4 straight games. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't the woe is me. It's that, and Doug loves that underdog mentality. That's when he's at his best. He was a backup quarterback his whole career, so you have that mentality. It's me against the world, and he's used that to his advantage. So what is Mike McCarthy going to do this week? Does he have something up his sleeve, a bag of tricks, that maybe some magic dust that he throws over the Dallas Star? What's been the attitude in Dallas this week so far? I know it's only Wednesday, but have you sensed anything different?
I think they look at the standings and just hope Philly's really as bad as their record would indicate it is. It's like, they're probably going to be starting, Ben DiNucci, who's a rookie, a 7th round.
Wait, would you say that again? Would you say that again, Ed?
Ben DiNucci makes me want ravioli. But he threw 3 passes last week. He got sacked an equal number of times. He was a 231st pick in the draft. This will just be in the Super Bowl era, Jaws. This will just be the 3rd time that the Cowboys have started 3 different quarterbacks before they've played 8 games in a season. It happened in 2008. They went 9-7. Happened in 2001. They went 5-11. It was kind of a funny remark that DiNucci made this week when he was asked, "What's it like playing in the NFL compared to playing at James Madison, which is where he went to college?" He said, "I think the biggest thing guys are just bigger than I'm used to." He said, "At James Madison, you obviously don't see guys like Chase Young coming at you."
Right.
No, you don't.
McCarthy compares him. When they drafted him, McCarthy compared him to Mark Bolger, the diminutive but highly productive quarterback that Mike Martz used to replace record-setting Hall of Famer Kurt Warner with the Rams and the greatest show on turf. So if he could be that good, I think the Cowboys would feel really good about things.
Do you think he will be?
He may eventually be that. I certainly don't expect him to be that in his first NFL start.
No, how many reps has this guy gotten in training camp? Well, training camp's abbreviated now, but how many reps has he got? He probably went on Sunday. He had to go in that game when he saw Andy went down. He probably, I didn't want to say what he said.
Yeah,
I might lose my show.
Very few, but he's getting it all this week. He's getting all of it this week.
Yeah,
because Andy Dalton's in the concussion protocol. I'd be very surprised if he were able to play. So it looks like the Cowboys are going to start a 3rd different quarterback this week.
Yeah, they're going to be handing the ball off this week.
Well, it's not going to make any difference. Zeke's going to hit in the backfield. This is.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't run the football with his offensive line either. And the 2 guys who have been most responsible for the turnovers are Dak and Zeke. They're 2 best players.
Right.
And this is although the Eagles' record is certainly not what anyone expected or any team in the NFC East expected. However, their defensive line is where they've spent their money, and the defensive line has been playing very, very well. So there will be opportunities down the field. If a quarterback gets time, and there's Fanucci's not going to get that kind of time against this kind of attack. So it's going to have to be run the football, some Max Pro, some play action, or it's going to be a really long Sunday night for the Dallas Cowboys. So Ed, as you look, Ed Werder, my special guest here, along with Jahri Evans on the Ron Jaworski show, and man, I always thank Ed for coming on because he's got a busy schedule. I know, Ed, I'm going to let you go because you have another 6:20 interview, but we appreciate you giving all the fans here in Philadelphia some flavor of what's going on in Dallas. But I always ask my guests, what's your prediction this week?
My prediction would be that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win this game 27-10.
Ooh, yeah. You get a lot of applause in Philadelphia on that one, Ed. Ed, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you down the road, my friend.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right. The great Ed Werder. Ed just gets a great flavor. He's he like I said, he's like Sal Pal here in Philly.
Okay.
They work their tail off, man, to get information that you don't always get in the newspaper. Sometimes guys get their private sources, between you and I. And Ed's one of those guys. He works very hard at his job, and you could tell things are a mess down there. Right
And
now.
it's tough this year with reporters not in the locker rooms, not at practices, right? Or are they still allowed to go to some team events or
Zoom, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't
Wait,
know how are reporters
you-
at practices and stuff now.
No, nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
You just recently retired, so you're like
Yeah.
you're like my connection to the game right now.
like I don't even know how they're getting the information. So it's always good when you got some guys that could that have the connections to figure some things out to get the fans some insight on what's going on during the week.
I'll bet you really loved when your practice is over, you're down by your locker, you get out of the shower, you got 8 guys waiting there with microphones. Yeah, I'll bet you were a real pleasant guy.
No, I had some big guys in the locker room, so they didn't come down to the O lineman unless we got a holding call or something bad or offsides or something, personal foul or something. So, but yeah, hey, it's always good when you can talk to the local, reporters down there and get the information on what's going on, and but they're just playing bad down there. They're playing bad.
Well, the whole NFC East is a mess right now.
Yeah.
The once proud NFC East, and as a local Frankfurt High guy, it was the Cowboys. Oh, it was Washington. It was the Giants. Man, it was the Cowboys.
You can always expect 2 teams to come out the East.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Not this year though.
Think of the run when obviously here in Philadelphia, Doug had his run. You think Bill Parcells, you think Joe Gibbs, Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, and I mean those were memorable battles with those teams. Now it's like, well, someone's going to get a home game in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and a home game, and I predicted. I know we got Jason Jones who remembers everything I say and he writes it all down. He said, "Jaws, remember you picked the Eagles to win a division at 5-10-1." So
really,
I might be right on that one. I might be. Right. I didn't think it'd be that kind of record. I thought it would be a battle with Dallas and Philadelphia to win a division. But man, who would think it'd be a 5-10-1 and a home game?
And a home game,
and you get a home game.
We went to Seattle. We had 13 wins.
Oh yeah.
We went to Seattle. They got a home game.
Then they were 7-9,
and they beat us. And it was like, why are we here? They should be coming to us to play us. Why are we here?
Yeah. You don't think Doug is using that psychology already, priming those guys?
Why are we here?
Here's what happened.
Yeah,
and it's National Football League any given Sunday. All right, time for a break here in the Ron Jaworski Show. Nice crowd on hand here at Total Turf Entertainment. My very special guest, this guy will be a Hall of Famer as well, Jahri Evans. We'll be right back with more of the Ron Jaworski Show right after this. This is Ron Jaworski. I want to invite everyone to rediscover the excellence and diversity of my 6 championship golf courses. You know what first attracted me to the game of golf? It's the precision it requires at every level. At Ron Jaworski Golf, everything we do centers around you. It's the small touches that make golf so special. That's what drew me in years ago and forever shapes the way I feel about the game. Come enjoy our amazing signature golf courses or go to ronjaworskigolf.com.
Your wedding might look a little different than you first imagined, but that doesn't mean it can't be the most memorable day of your life. At Ron Jaworski Weddings, our 5 award-winning wedding venues are open, and we're meeting with couples daily, both in person by appointment or virtually with tours and video conferences. Voted the best of the knot and Wedding Wire 11 years in a row. See all we can do to make your day special at ronjaworskiweddings.com.
diversity of my 6 championship golf courses. You know what first attracted me to the game of golf? It's the precision it requires at every level. At Ron Jaworski Golf, everything we do centers around you. It's the small touches that make golf so special. That's what drew me in years ago and forever shapes the way I feel about the game. Come enjoy our amazing signature golf courses or go to ronjaworskigolf.com.
Hut, hut.
This is Ron Jaworski.
Now back to the Ron Jaworski Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Welcome back, and yes, we are coming to you live from Total Turf Entertainment. Jerry McGuff, Bob Loftus, what a great place they have here. Everyone having a good time. And just as we're in break, some of my friends came in, some of my golfing buddies. Peter Slack Attack, Rob Esco, Peter's wife Jill. What a big day. Come out and have some fun. But we're not golfing. It's too dark. Jahri, you have been golfing a lot this year.
Yeah.
You always call me. You want to get on one of my courses, and
Yeah.
I always take good care of you. At 6'5", 340 pounds, I make sure he gets out there. And you've gotten better, haven't you?
I have got better, slow my swing down a little bit, try not to block a 3 technique out there on the golf course, and been hitting them pretty well.
All right. Always great to have you. And, we always get some great stats. Jason Jones, my guy, my right-hand man, he's always digging stuff up for me, researching stuff. You got to have that guy, the analyst, for the analytics that we now hear so much about. How's this for a stat? Then I'll ask you who this could be, Jahri. Ezekiel Elliott versus the Eagles has averaged 147.9 yards from scrimmage per game against the Eagles. That is the most versus the Eagles of any player since 1950. And I know you know who that is. Who was that player since 1950?
Wow, that's a lot of yards.
All right, think of one of the greatest running backs of all time from the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown,
Yeah.
there we go. You ding, ding, ding.
I got a Jim Brown autographed jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
Autographed by Jim Brown?
It was I got it at auction. I think one of Roman Harper's charity events or something like that. I'm a big charity auction.
All right, that is
memorabilia
sweet.
buyer.
You must have quite a room, I'll bet.
I do. I got a few things, and I met him at the last draft when I announced the Saints draft pick 2 drafts ago.
Wow, all right.
Yeah, so that was
Jim
cool.
Brown, legendary Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Jahri, you had an unbelievable career. Notably a Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first-team All-Pro, the NFL 2010's All-Decade Team. I mean, you've blocked for some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, future Hall of Famers. Aaron Rodgers, when you're in Green Bay, you were blocking for Russell Wilson in Seattle. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's pretty good guys to block for. And Drew Brees in New Orleans. So, when you played for different personalities, I know the quarterback, the personalities, what did you always look for in the quarterback that you were protecting?
Obviously, I got drafted to New Orleans, so with Drew, we ran the ball a lot early on when we got in New Orleans, and then just how him and Coach Payton just grasped the offense and how he became the general out there, directing everybody, making sure the line was going the right way, getting us all set up, making sure the receivers were set up. Just his overall knowledge of the offense, everybody's job, basically. How to get everybody orchestrated to execute the play. But like you said, all 3 of those guys are so great in their own ways. Everybody's always like, oh, what's the difference between Aaron and Drew? I'm like, the same is that they're great. They're so different that they're great.
Well, down the road, the Eagles will be facing Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
That's 3 great quarterbacks that this defense is going to have to prepare for. I always like this to ask an offensive lineman. Because, when you got a guy like a Russell Wilson, almost a guy we're talking about, Kyler Murray, these guys that are great out of the pocket. And here in Philly, Carson Wentz now is becoming more of a threat running the football, not only throwing the football. As an offensive lineman, what do you prefer? That guy where you know where that launch spot is going to be, or do you prefer that guy that could be anywhere?
I prefer the guy that's going to throw the ball down the field and complete the pass. And it's funny. It's funny you asked me that because that's what they asked me.
That's a really good answer, right?
But that's what they asked me in Seattle. They were like, "Oh, you think you can block for Russell, and all the things he does?" I said, "Listen, my job is to make sure the guy in front of me doesn't get behind me. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm not really focusing on where you guys are. Obviously, he's going to tell me depending on his rush, But as long as I keep that guy in front of me, I know that he's not on the QB. So, that's how I look at it. I don't necessarily look at it like, oh, I'm wondering if he's going to be over here, over there, or if he's Michael Vick or doing whatever. My job is to stop the guy in front of me.
So much is said about teams becoming pass happy as you
Right.
look around this league right now. Maybe I'm a little old school. I've always believed the team with the best balance, and you mentioned earlier about Drew Brees. Hey, you guys ran the ball.
Yeah.
The Saints ran the football. And then you see Dak Prescott, getting taken out, broken ankle on a quarterback draw. Last week I see Carson Wentz down near the goal line, a quarterback draw. That bothers me a little bit when you depend on your quarterback to give you yardage in the running game.
Yeah.
The Kyler Murray, the Lamar Jacksons. Yeah, these guys are incredible players, but you don't want to end up like Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And when you guys have your play calling meetings and you guys talk as offensive linemen, do you talk about things like that?
We do. I remember we was at a Pro Bowl one time, and I forget who was running the ball, or we were playing against them or something, and the defense was like, or I don't know, I think it was at the Pro Bowl. The defense was like, we can't have him throwing touchdowns and running touchdowns. So every time he runs, we gonna smack him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And as offensive lineman, I always hate when Coach Payton was like, we're gonna throw the ball to open up the run. I'm like, what? Throw the ball to open up the run. So the only thing I can think of is if you have that prolific passer that can throw the ball and maybe get more guys out of the box, maybe then that's where, they're like, okay, we're going to be able to run the ball because we're throwing the ball well. But I'm one of those guys, I played at Bloomsburg. We ran the ball.
You ran the ball?
And we cut blocks.
And you knocked people off the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's where that's how I played. I always tell the coach, listen, you put him in front of us. Our job is to block him up. We get a hat on the hat. Yeah. You make one guy miss as the back, and you're in daylight. So that's how we always approach the game on the lines that I play with.
I still remember, Jahri, when you came in to visit my office over at NFL Films, and it was sunshine was coming through the window. It was nice and bright. It was a beautiful day, and Jahri walked in and blocked the sunlight. And this guy, he's so big, and we start talking, saying, "Damn." They're getting bigger and bigger now. That's and I thought my guys, I had all pro tackles and Jerry Sizemore and Stan Walters, 6'5", 285, 275, and you played at probably 245, 6'5", 345. Yeah, get that right.
330, 335. College I was 340, but Coach Payton always, oh man, he's the worst.
But you slimmed down. It made you slim down.
Well, you get fined all you overweight. So yeah, I came in the league at 318, so I lost about 20 pounds for combine training, and then every year I would just put on like 2 or 3 or 4. But yeah.
As you watch NFL games now, and you watch offensive linemen, you watch technique, what do you see that's different from it's only been a few years since you've been out of the game, but
right.
what are they doing different now?
Well, I see it. Unless you play for Tennessee, you better know how to pass, bro. But it depends on. I think it's the coaches' mentalities are different. I think some coaches like smaller guys. Some coaches like bigger guys. Like, my coach at Doug Marrone, who's the head coach of Jacksonville Jaguars. Yep. He was my first O-line coach. He always harped on technique. Make sure you're not overweight. Make sure you can move. My Super Bowl winning coach, Coach Cromer, who coaches for the Rams, he didn't care how big you were as long as you blocked the guy in front of you.
That's right.
Me and Carl Dix, he was like, listen, just block the guy in front of you. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on the O-line coaches, but, as an offensive lineman, you want to be able to move. But the biggest thing I think that changed me was the different coaches that my O-line coaches brought in. Mudd came in for one.
Howard
one
Mudd,
camp.
yeah.
Showed me some stuff. I learned how to jump set in year 4 or 5.
Right.
As a 330-pound guy, jump setting completely changed me. It allowed me to stop guys like this. Instead of going backwards, I'm jump setting guys. So bringing in those different coaches and, different techniques and learning different things every year to get better, I think really elevated me as in my play instead of just saying, okay, this is what I know, I'm just going to stay with this. No, you can always learn something different.
I had Dick Vermeil on the show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about offensive line play. And as much as Dick loves the passing game and, was a designer of offense, he just believed in just coming off the ball and knocking people off the ball. That old snot knocker, we're moving people. And he was complaining, and literally complaining about today's NFL, interior linemen now, not the center because he's got his hand on the ball, but interior linemen in that 2-point stand. Now, you need it as a tackle, with wide rushers and all that, and you got a kick step to get in position. But he was going off on offensive linemen in a 2-point stance at the guard position. How can you come off the ball to hit somebody? Now when you're in that 2-point stance, you can't get your momentum going. You can't drive them off the ball. Did you have a preference of the way you like to get in your stance and play?
Yeah, I felt like I played lower in the 3-point stance, obviously, right? Because your body is lower. You're not, sitting back. But some guys feel better to be in the 2-point stands. And that's I think that's the difference with offensive linemen. You got 5 guys, and you might have to teach all 5 of those guys different things to get the maximum play out of those guys because there are 5 different body types. There are 5 different, ways of thinking. So, but I was always a guy like if I'm run blocking, I'm definitely putting my hand in the ground. And sometimes coaches are like, well, we want to be in the 2-point because we're in the gun and we want to make it look like his pass. And I'm like, I don't care if he knows his pass, if he knows his run, he's not going to beat me today. So, but for me, I like to put my hand in the ground and get low. And you'll see it on Green Bay. I'll be the only guy in 3-point stands because all those guys will be in 2-point stands.
You like to come off the ball?
Yeah, I like to come off the ball, yeah.
All right, you're listening to the Ron Jaworski Show with my very special guest, Jahri Evans, and I want to tell you about my friends at Burns Honda. We had an awesome time there last week. We were live from the Burns Honda showroom. I want to thank them again for hosting the show. Now they have hundreds of vehicles to choose from, including Accords from $209 a month, and your choice of CRVS or HRVS from $199 a month. That's right, $199 a month. Check out other offers and their entire lineup at BurnsHonda.com and take advantage of their amazing offers. Stop in today right on Route 73 in Marlton, New Jersey for extremely low lease pricing and limited time financing options. My buddy Jim McCormick, the general manager, and his team, they are ready to help you find your next vehicle. Visit Burns Honda and discover an unmatched car buying experience for yourself. Shop their huge inventory of over 900 vehicles. That's right, 900 vehicles online at BurnsHonda.com. And remember, when you need a vehicle, turn to Burns. You'll be glad you did. Route 73 in Marlton, New Jersey, or anytime online at BurnsHonda.com. All right, Jahri, now we're going to get back to this Dallas Cowboy game on Sunday. Prime game, the game everyone watches on Sunday night right now. 2-4, or is it 2-5? 2-5 Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I'm losing my excitement. 2-4-1 Philadelphia Eagles. However, they're going to play the game. And, when I started the show off talking to Ed Werder, this Dallas defensive line, I think since I looked at my tape on Monday, I think 3 of them got cut. They were so ineffective. When you look at the tape, they are the worst defensive quarterback rush team in the NFL. Yeah. The average time before release of the quarterback is 3.1 seconds. You can eat a sandwich back there by the time this Cowboy line gets to you. And with all these new guys, I think Carson Wentz has a super big day for all you fantasy players out there. But when you look at when your playing days, you're studying your opponent, look at what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and you look at a team that really can generate zero pressure. Yeah. Do you go, okay, I got this, or do you go, they're ready to crank it up?
I know we're going to pass the ball 3,000 times with Coach Payton. If he sees nobody's getting pressure, he's like, I'm lighting up the scoreboard. That's just how he thinks. You guys should not lose today. That's a reason for him to throw the ball, not to run the ball, because these guys can't rush. So I knew the first 15 scripted plays were going to be pass, 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 pass. But yeah, when you see guys like that, the one thing that we always thought was, get your hands on these guys quick because they can't get restarted, right? Typically, guys that can't rush,
Jam
they
'em.
can't get on them quick because they can't restart, and we'll have all day.
Let me shift this over to the Eagles' offensive line because it's been decimated by injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, with Jason Peters out, I guess he practiced today. To what degree, I really don't know. Lane Johnson's been in and out of the lineup. You've had, the interior linemen switching, every other week. You seems to have a new player in there. How does that affect the continuity of the offensive line when you got so many interchangeable parts? You don't know who's going to go. You know who's going to go. How difficult is that to prepare for the guys that line up next to you?
Yeah, no, I think it's very difficult, especially when you have young guys. The only, good thing at the beginning of the season when they moved JP from guard to tackle was at least they had some consistency at the tackles in the center, but then once Lane and JP both got hurt, then it was just like, okay, we got to get these guys together and get these guys playing. So the biggest thing is communication. For a guard, I'm blocking the 3 technique, the shade, or the backer. The bottom line is you're blocking the guy in front of you, you got to execute. So the biggest thing is making sure you don't have guys running through the A gaps. You know what I mean, on your QB and stuff like that. So, I know that's something that they're probably struggling with, especially since they've been passing the ball a lot. But hopefully they can get on the same page. And I think the first quarter of the season was tough for everybody because you had no preseason film. Basically first quarter of the season was preseason. And
the injuries to the tight ends.
Yeah.
Because, with Doug's style of offense, 12 personnel was their number one by far of any team in the NFL. In other words, 1 back, 2 tight ends. And a lot of people don't understand how important that tight end is in your blocking schemes.
Yeah.
Blocking the right guy. And, with a guy like Carson Wentz right now, sacked 28 times. That's tied for most in the NFL.
Right.
That's a lot of sacks for a mobile quarterback. So you got to attribute, some of that is Carson's fault. He held on to the ball too long. But some of that is the inconsistent play of the guys up front. But the tight ends really, you got to get them back. And I guess Goddard might be ready this week.
Right, yeah.
So Zach with the high ankle sprain, he's probably going to be out for a while in Ertz. But, when you look at the injuries to the tight ends, when you were playing, how much did that impact your offensive line play?
You're exactly right. You hit on the nose. We didn't play much 12, and we also flex the tight end sometimes. And coach sometimes he'd rather have scat pro with just us 5, and we block it up. But when you're playing that 12, body presence on the edge for your tackles are huge. It changes the whole defense. So like you said, if they've been practicing 12 formation a lot and now those guys are gone and they have to go to, 10 or a different, 12 or 22, 2 tight ends, yeah. They have to go to 10 or 11 or whatever their pro set is. The blocking schemes changes, and that's where the quarterback or the center has to get the guys on the same page. So it does affect it a little bit, and when you're changing any guys in and out, they don't have back-to-back weeks to get their rhythm. It can be difficult. But yeah, hopefully they can help themselves out by running the ball well. If you can run the ball well and get started, I think that would help.
It's been a rough week in Dallas this week. It has been a rough week.
Yeah.
They are getting just lambasted by the media. You could tell by when we had Ed Werder on the show earlier that they're just grinding them.
Right.
So what's happening in that locker room. You've been in that situation. Hey, I've been in that situation. And you develop that foxhole mentality, that bunker mentality. Everyone thinks we suck. We're bad. We can't play. Bad division. So you're going to get your best shot from the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night. If that's going to be good enough or not. But coming out, they're tired of hearing it all week. They're going to come out and get after it. So as you as a player playing against a team like that, are you aware that, hey guys, let's just calm them down early, hit them in the mouth, and let's put this thing to bed. Let's score early, get them behind. Forget about all this coming back, we're unified and all that. Do you think about that as a player, first drive of the game, let's go whip their butt, take it down the end zone like we did against the Giants last week, create doubt in their mind? Is that a plan mentally?
Yeah, for sure. If you're looking at the Eagles, looking at the Cowboys, they're like, if we start fast on these guys, they're going to tank it in. They already been tanking it in the last couple of weeks mentality-wise, right? You see all the turmoil down there. But just like you said, any given Sunday, they got guys with names on that team that can play. They just haven't played very well. So you don't want to give them energy with a slow start or with, not putting your best foot forward. I think the Birds this year have really, they've not been playing at their, optimal level or the best that they can play, but they have left a lot of points on the board on these games, either missed field goals, either missed opportunities, either bad plays. Every game you see them leaving 14, 17 points out there and barely winning by 2 or losing by 5. So if they can correct those things, I think that they can, put together a complete game.
Well, I've always been kind of a wonk for turnovers.
Yeah.
You must protect the football. And, with Carson throwing, 10 picks already this year. And some were very bad interceptions early in the year in particular. But, you can't turn the football over.
Yeah.
I got all these crazy stats. And Vermeil's #1 stat always was be plus in turnover category. Yeah. If you're plus, you're going to win 80% of the time. There's 100 stats that are important, but that is the most important one. Mm-hmm. If you don't take care of the football, you're going to lose. So now you got a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, right? A couple weeks ago, he fumbled twice, ended that game for the Dallas Cowboys. This guy's a premier running back in the NFL. They have 16 giveaways already this year. That's the most in the NFL. So Zeke #1, he becomes a ball carrier. Mm-hmm. He becomes not a runner, you're carrying the ball. Mm-hmm. So defenses now know, okay, this guy's got a little issue right now, not holding on the ball. So do you ever hear the defensive guys, get going on the field, hey, he's a fumbler. He's a fumbler. Punch it out, knock it out. A guy that you normally wouldn't think, like Zeke being a fumbler, but guys are talking about it because he's shown a propensity to drop the ball on the turf.
Yeah, what they'll say is, hold him up. I'm coming the second guy in and go for the ball. First guy get the tackle, second guy go for the ball, get it out. And he's put it on the ground a little bit lately, and guys are going to be going for it.
Right. Damn. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. Look at the second guy.
You never thought, right?
Second guy coming to knock the ball out.
Yeah, the second guy come knock it out. And they're giving him the ball. They're not going to put this game in the rookie's hands. And the rookie's a pro. I mean, he's in the NFL for a reason because he has talent. But don't be surprised by his talent. But understand they're going to run the game through Ezekiel Elliott. I didn't know much about this kid with the Chargers, but man, he can play. So don't be surprised like everybody was when that kid stepped on the field.
You are absolutely right.
Because it is the NFL.
But he's no Ben DiNucci. 7th round pick out of JMU.
Yep. Small school guy,
Small school guy.
I like the small school guy.
So do I. Youngstown State, Bloomsburg, JMU.
But don't be surprised.
This is the bright lights.
But they're going to run it through Ezekiel.
It's the bright.
They're going to run it through Elliott.
I'll be surprised if he throws 15 times.
Right.
I won't know. I'll be shocked if he throws. And I don't know how many will go downfield. This may be the bubble screen game.
Yeah.
Throw them, get those linemen out in front. We don't have to block anybody. Get them on the perimeter, on those small safeties and cornerbacks. Try to get your yardage that way. But it's going to be interesting.
It plays in the Eagles' favors, too.
I was thinking, Jahri, you played in one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. You'd say down the Superdome in New Orleans, maybe Kansas City, when they get it cranking over there in Minnesota and that new dome they have, loud as hell. These games right now, there's literally no fans.
Right.
Literally, there won't be any on, maybe 5,000 on Sunday night. How much impact do you think that it has on the players?
It has a huge impact. I think that's, I think we're in the NFL record passing attempts right now. But I think the reason why we have a lot of sacks in the NFL too is because those guys ain't got no crowd noise. They getting the snap count on you, QBs. They're analyzing what's going on, and it's a defensive advantage right now in the stadiums. When you're a home game, it's you get that little bit of offensive advantage with the crowd noise. They're not getting that, so defenses are pinning their ears back and getting after it.
Jahri, I got to give you an opportunity to plug what you're doing right now. And I know, we were business partners with the Philadelphia Soul in the Arena Football League, and we enjoyed every minute of it. I'm sad we're not playing anymore because we loved it, man. We were crazy about it. But you have some other things going on in your restaurant business, right?
Yes. New restaurant business owner down at 13th and Pack Avenue.
Not good timing, by the way.
Not good timing, but we have a good location down there, and by the Citizens Bank Park and the new casino that's going up. And also just with my gym company, All Fitness, we have a 24-hour gym. I'm actually training some young offensive linemen now, college and high school guys in there, and doing some real estate in the city. So just a few things right now in this COVID climate and crazy climate that we're living in right now, but all is well.
Yeah, Jahri, you are a class act, man, and I've known you for a number of years since that day you walked into my office at NFL Films and blocked the sun. And it's good to see you doing well.
You can block the sun, you can block a 3 technique. You can block a 3 technique. You can block
3
the sun.
technique? Get downfield on the screen, right? Well, you heard me put Ed on the hot seat, making a prediction. So what do you think? Give me your call. Sunday night, Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
I picked the Eagles to win the division beginning of the season, and I think that, they get a good divisional win this week. I think it's not going to be like a big high-scoring game because, like you said, I think the Cowboys are going to run the ball through Ezekiel and eat up the clock. But I think they'll get, 3-touchdown game, 21, 24 points, and win by 10. 10-7.
All right, I believe that's oh no, the game's not even on the book. See, I know people wager on these games, so I always look at that.
Yeah.
I heard that. Jason, what are my picks right now? I make these predictions, right? Predictions. Go to ronjaworski.com against the spread.
Okay.
If you ever want to bet a beer or
toughest
something,
thing ever.
Against the spread, 59% correct.
I've been doing that.
ronjaworski.com.
I've been doing
Check
that.
it out.
I've been doing that this year with Jero at his show at the Hard Rock. And
Your business agent, Gerald Colton, a great guy.
Yeah. You could tell I didn't bet on football. My picks are horrible.
Yeah. But, Jahri, thank you so much, man. Next week, we'll be at the Valley Brook Country Club, so check your schedule next Wednesday, 6 to 7. I will make my prediction right now. The Philadelphia Eagles 31, the Dallas Cowboys 13. A rout.
Nice.
It won't even be that close. All that energy coming up here going to be irrelevant for the Dallas Cowboys. They get blown out of Lincoln Financial Field. Well, that'll do it for the Ron Jaworski Show. I want to thank all the folks over here at the Total Turf Experience. Great crowd on hand. Peter Slack, what time we teeing off tomorrow? Oh, it's going to rain. Rob Escott. Next week, we'll put our golf running. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here on the Ron Jaworski Show. Have a safe night.